I wash my soul in the ocean, in the tears of God, I let it go.
Welcome to your 2021 video horoscopes with me, Lada from Astrolada. Thank you so much for choosing me to be astrologer for you for the year 2021. And what can I say? Just a quick summary. I'm delighted to say that 2021 will be way easier than 2020. You remember 2020, if you saw the videos that I created for 2020, I warned everyone this will be one of the toughest year ahead. For 2021, the action is moving from the cardinal signs like Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra, who had it the hardest, whether it was their ascendant, sun, or moon in 2020. It's moving to the fixed signs, which is Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. And when I say action, it means they'll have life-changing events. They'll have something that takes them to the next level. But passing from one level to the other is always a bit more difficult. Especially fixed signs, they don't like changes so much. But again, it will be, I promise 2021 will be way easier generally for the world and each one of us. Just a few people will be a little bit more tested. And 2021 is when a new age for humanity starts, generally speaking. This is when Saturn and Jupiter start their new cycle for the first time in almost 800 years in an air sign. I mean, they kickstart this 200-year period. They met in the 80s in an air sign, but the last time they met in Aquarius was 1226, something like that, 800 years ago. So we'll start a brand new life, brand new era for humanity. You can check out my video, which is for free on YouTube, about the year 2021. For the whole world, there is new hope. Aquarius energy is coming in. There is a new hope for humanity, new future. Life will start splitting into society will start splitting into, not in a bad way, but in a way that instead of fighting and not seeing eye to eye, it will separate somehow. There will be people that want to live alternatively and people that want to follow the normal rules. But anyway, let's get back to you because those horoscopes are specific for you. So let me tell you what you need for those horoscopes in order to work for you. You need to find out your sun, moon, and ascendant signs. I want you to check all three of them. If you can't afford to buy all three, just listen to your ascendant sign at least. But you need to know your time of birth to listen to the ascendant sign. And you need to know the degree as well. And if you have time to watch all three videos, the ascendant, sun, and moon, then listen to the specific degrees when I speak about the moon and the sun especially. For the ascendant, pay attention to everything, the houses, whatever. For the sun and moon, especially pay attention if I mention your specific day of birth, if it's the sun, or the degree of the moon as well. The houses can also be relevant. Who will be affected most? Everyone feels affected by the ascendant sign, but you need to be very correct with your time of birth. Like if your mom told you between 2 and 3 o'clock, no, it's like you need 2:34. For example, PM. And within 2-3 minutes at least to have your correct time, or 5 at most. So listen to your ascendant sign and the degree, start with it. Then listen to your sun sign. And of course, with the sun sign, you just know which day you're born, but you can check the degree as well. Listen to your moon sign. If you're born during the day, which means before the sunset, while the sun was above the horizon, the sun sign is very important for you because the sun becomes your ruling light. If you're born at night, like I am, when the sun has set, you have to find out what day the sun set on the day you were born and rose, so when you know your time of birth, whether it was day or night. So if you're born at night, the moon, it will be very important for you because the moon becomes your queen, the light. So but I would advise, listen to three of those: ascendant, sun, and moon. If you're a woman, the moon sign is usually very important. If you're a man, the sun sign is usually very important. If you're a woman in a competitive career or who has her own business or who is very much into her career, the sun sign becomes very important because the sun sign is our goals, is our masculine side, taking decisions. Let me tell you what the difference, the subtle differences between listening to your ascendant, sun, and moon is. With the ascendant, it is the physical body and your fated events. They're kind of pre-recorded for you. You really see the ascendant sign in when you, if you have your correct time of birth, you would see it as basically as events that materialize, that are happen around you, and they've been already, usually they're like preset somehow. They're set in stone. The ascendant is the most material aspect of the whole horoscope. It's kind of like our path, our destiny, whatever you want to say, the destiny of the soul. It's a little bit, we still have free will to some extent, but the ascendant is one of the most set ones. So you'd see very material manifestations with the ascendant sign. With the moon sign, the moon is the soul and the feelings. So a lot of women, because women are more connected with their feelings, tend to actually resonate a lot with their moon sign. And they're like, yes, those things for the ascendant sign are happening, but what really, where my whole heart is and where my whole attention has been and where my whole excitement has been and my focus or pain or sadness, whatever, has been as per the moon sign prediction. So do check it out. While the sun sign is, and the moon sign is, again, the moon is connected to the past, so it's a little bit more karmic. It's something that has been maybe programmed for the soul before our birth, type of thing. While the sun sign is the spirit, which where we have the most free will. And with the sun sign, people often resonate when they listen to their sun sign. They say, wow, it's so correct. Especially people, the more self-sufficient and independent you are, the more and how do I say, the more it's the sun is where we have the free will power. And this is where we can influence the sun sign prediction, the events, the most. And this is what usually our goals, our dreams are about. The sun is like this ideal of the spirit where you want to reach, something that feeds your spirit, so to speak. So that's why a lot of people, especially in the West or in more, where people have more free will generally in countries like that, to determine their life, to determine their direction in life, because there are a lot of countries you cannot still do that. Some countries are still set like 1,000 years back, in mentality. But where there is more free will, usually in the more developed countries, or and then the sun is very powerful. People can feel the sun very powerful, especially people that, as I said, men feel the sun very strongly. Women who have their own goals, who have freedom to go after career and things like that, to create their own careers. And especially if you have a stellium of planets in the same sign as your sun. For example, I'm Aries sun, but I also have their Venus, Mercury, Mars. So then I would feel the prediction from the sun sign very, very strongly. Maybe not as strongly as the ascendant, but it will be up there. And with the sun sign prediction, we have the most ability, when you listen to it, to take the higher road, to use our free will to change things to the best manifestation possible. With the ascendant, with the moon, well, with the moon, if you can control your feelings, but it's harder to control your feelings. With the sun sign, if you can control your thoughts, it's easier to control your thoughts than your feelings. With the ascendant sign, it's kind of more like set. So I told you this. How do you find out what your sun, moon, and ascendant signs are? You can, let me share my screen with you. You can go to my website, astrolada.com, where you can find any other, astrolada.com. Here it is. You can find any other astrology website, but I have this free birth chart calculator. You can go there. You can enter your details, your name, whatever it is, your birth time. Let's say you're born, okay, maybe you're not 8 years old, but the minute, you don't need the second. Very few people know the second. Your town, I'll say New York, continued, so it's easier. And here from the drop-down menu, you find out which New York it is. Let's say there might be New York in Texas, Henderson, okay? Let's say I was born there. And this is what you get. It might look like alien, alien stuff to you. But all you need to do is go here, planetary details. And I want you to take those first three, ascendant, sun, and moon. You see those three. and write the degree and the sign. So this person that I invented has the ascendant in Taurus at 24 degrees. Don't look at the second number, the second row. These are the seconds. So just round it up, 24 degrees Taurus. The sun is at 16 Aries. Usually everyone knows their sun sign. This is the sun sign is the same, every year at the same time. And the moon sign of this person is Libra at 8 degrees. Write those down. And if you hear when you're watching Libra, for example, we mentioned Libras born with sun, moon, or ascendant from 3 till 9 degrees, they would feel this influence very strongly. Well, 8 degrees is within that influence. So pay attention what I'm talking about. You're going to feel, especially when I give specific degrees or days. If you're using for the moon, it will be a degree. And you hear your degree or that it's within the range, pay attention to that. You're going to feel this big time. The same with the sun sign, but with the sun sign, I also give the day you were born. For example, people that have degree at 16 Aries, they're born around the 4th or 5th of April. Every year is the same. The ascendant, I'll give the degrees again. So if I say if you're born Taurus, for Tauruses who have anything in degrees from say 12 to 26, and this person has a 24 degrees in Taurus, you will feel this influence, and so on and so on. If you don't hear your degree, just listen. Start with the ascendant sign. The whole prediction for the ascendant sign will, the houses. Then go through the sun sign if you're born during the day, the moon sign second, or second if you're born at night, especially if you're a woman, and end with one of the three and listen to the three of them and see which one you resonate the most with. See which one makes the most sense for you. Watch it again in the middle of the year, towards the end of the year, and you will figure out which planet actually is very strong. But always the ascendant is so important, guys, if you know your time of birth. And because anyway, I cannot fully give you specific reading. I just look at the whole sign, the whole Taurus I'm going to be speaking, or the whole Gemini. But there is a way for you to be following daily your personal transits like no one else in the world has them. It's again on the website, Personal Transit Calendar. You go there, you register. I already have an account. 50,000 people are using it, I think, already. For free. It's weekly, it's for free. But nowhere else in the world and I show you how to use it here. There is an instructional video how to use the transits. But here you put your details. You can put as many people as you want. You're gonna get free for them, or you can buy. You can buy for a year transits or for a month transits. A lot of the people that are subscribe for a month at a time, and you can just watch your specific transits here. They come out. No one else in the world will have the same transits as you on the same time, unless you have a twin born at the same place at the same time at the same minute as you. Otherwise, those transits will always be different. And you can go through each day of the year and see which transits you have. And you click and you read, and that will, you don't need my videos. But in those videos, what I strive to do, because a person has so many transits throughout the year. Look at that. This is just for 1 month. So many transits. How do you make sense of them? In those yearly videos, this is what I help you do, especially if you watch them for your ascendant, to a lesser degree, sun and moon, but they're still relevant. And I give you the bigger, fuller picture, instead of like separate, you have like, for example, look how many transits I'm currently having this day today. And, so, which one, but I give you like a summary of it, like wrap it up. All right. There you go. I think we're ready. If you have written your sun, moon, or ascendant, let's dive in. But before that, just a little quick prayer for God and to bless the year 2021 and to protect anyone. So, dear Father, Mother, Creators, dear Jesus, dear Mary, oh Buddha, Allah, whoever whoever has the higher power from whatever place they're praying in the world, turn towards your higher power, to the angels, to the exalted beings that are taking care of humanity, that are selflessly helping us every day, our guardian angels, our departed beloved ones. Thank you so much for protecting us, for keeping us sane during the year 2020, for raising our consciousness collectively during that year. And I ask you for this new age that starts from the year 2021, from this brave new world. Let it be tilted towards the positive. Let the balance go towards the positive. Let more and more souls wake up to the divine love, to brotherhood, to peace. We're entering the age of Aquarius full speed from the beginning of 2021. May God, your desire and your plan for the world be fulfilled through each one of us. May brotherhood, love, equality, fraternity come, compassion between each other rather than separation. And let everyone who is watching this video find out the most important information for them, reach their heart, reach their soul. Let them connect with the information that is most relevant for them, and let them be prepared and help them through the path, and help me be a good channel and a good channeler of your wisdom, of your knowledge, so I can connect the people with the right inspiration. Amen. All right, let's start.
Libra 2021, and this is for Libra Sun, Moon, or Rising. Libra, you are truly entering a blessed period, one where you will be so supported by the higher forces, by God, by providence, by your high intuition. You're gonna align to who you truly are. And we do know about Libra, especially people that are born with Libra rising, who have their sun in Libra or the moon, that they're very much about the other person, about relationships, that they only discover who they are in the context of relationships. But this year, something magical is happening. This year, the planets align in such a way that they activate your so-called self houses. They're called in ancient Vedic astrology dharmic houses. Dharma houses are the ones that reveal your true self. So this year, a magical process is happening in you, that you're gonna come more into who you are, into your own power. This is your own strength. The first, the fifth, and the ninth houses are most strongly activated in 2021, which are self houses, who you are, what your beliefs are, what you stand for, what your true joy and purpose and meaning in life is. You're going to be given answers to those questions. And by the end of this period, by the end of 2021, a lot of you will come out feeling more secure in who they are, having a better idea of their path and direction in life. And just always Libra, they say they're in two minds, they change their minds. Well, something else is happening this year. You're really kind of going to discover who you are and what you stand for, and where you're headed. It's alignment. The dharmic houses, when activated, are the ones when God and your higher self, or whatever you want to call it, that directs our life and destiny, tries to align us to our dharma, tries to align us to the right path that we, our soul, made a contract for, that it agreed on, the right path that gives you joy, that will fulfill your purpose and mission. So this is exactly what's going to be happening. In ancient astrology, the dharmic houses, the first, the third, and the ninth, which are most activated for you this year, are considered also the luckiest houses. They are considered the houses of divine blessings. For example, the fifth house, which is strongly activated for you this year, is called the house of fortune. And because the house of good karma and fortune, because when it's activated, the good actions we've done in this lifetime or past lifetimes is when we receive a fortune, almost like luck, and not fortune, it's payback time for the good things we've done. And the ninth house is known as the house of luck. And again, it's another house of fortune. So it's also strongly activated for you. And why were they considered so fortunate in ancient astrology? Because this is when you align with your own personal power. And to be honest, you'll be relying a lot on yourself, but you'll have that strength. And of course, because you're an air sign, there'll be involvement in communication, exchanging ideas, as always there is in reflecting in another person. But you do this alone mostly. I'm not saying you'll be lonely or anything like that, but actually you do this process instead of just being, like other times, needing to consult, needing to take into consideration others. No, now you're going on your own path like a warrior, and you're really blazing your trail. So let's start a little bit with a recap. For the past 2.5 years, Saturn, which is always a very important planet that tests us, has been in your 4th house, which means that there were challenges, especially for those who are moon or ascendant in Libra. There were challenges connected to the 4th house. Because Saturn is where we're tested, so we can master an area where we can, there might be some delays or obstacles, so we can become better at it, so we can try by changing our strategy and try more effective plans. Well, for you, for the past 2.5 years, it was in the 4th house. So especially at Libra rising and Libra moon, they probably felt a lot of heavy responsibilities around home and family and parenthood. I can tell you, my husband is Libra and he's like clockwork. 2.5 years. That's when we had the second baby, and it's been just like non-stop work at home, basically. He's had so many responsibilities as a father. And it limits the ability to freedom, to move, to do, because of certain responsibilities you have. Some of you had to take care of ailing parents or had problems with their family. Some of you had some heavy responsibility that they took in family, for example, building a house or relocating of some sort that happened, or some selling or buying property that they had to work hard on. Maybe there were delays, maybe there were some frustrations, or even with renovations the same happened. Others were having some challenges with their emotional state, maybe feeling a bit frozen, emotionally, maybe feeling a little bit stuck emotionally as well. Maybe feeling some issues from childhood and that happened in early childhood that you had to work through emotionally, psychologically. Maybe some of you found things that you were not aware of about your family, about your home, that you had to cope with, some family secrets. Or maybe some of you dug into the past to discover your roots and to understand better where you're coming from. Maybe others were coping with some difficulties with their family members as well. Some changes with family members. But Jupiter also joined Saturn in the last 1 year, and it even expanded more so those activities. Some of you might have been able to relocate during this period. For my husband and us, it was more like a stagnation. We couldn't, with a lot of home responsibilities and duties, but we bought a property during that time and some other such things. So definitely I saw this in my husband's life. Maybe the life of your mother or carers, there were some complications, some difficulties that they had, a more difficult time as well, that you had to help them, or sometimes it can even antagonize the relationship with the parent. But all this is coming to an end. Saturn and Jupiter are moving of your 4th house, so any delays and complications with property, or stagnation with family situation, or just heavy burdens with parenting and taking care of others, or nursing of some sort, or if you're in career of real estate or nursing or taking care of children, the responsibilities will slow down. The responsibility will not slow down, they will be released. There will be the ending from the end of 2020 of some. It's almost like you passed the test, you've learned how to do things there more masterfully, more slowly, with more attention and presence. And now a new set of challenges, a new set of lessons will come. The problems connected to all this fourth house will end. And even a state of emotional kind of frozenness or emotional, even sometimes when Saturn transits the fourth house, people find it hard to cope with feelings and emotions, even though they're forced to dig deep, to understand, maybe finding it hard to express feelings and emotions. Maybe Jupiter helped a little bit in the last year for this. And people that were Libra Sun, they had Saturn basically square and Jupiter square their Sun sometimes. Saturn in particular in the last 2.5 years, for some maybe already in 2018, which was some blockage or difficulty, obstacles, a very heavy period in career and worldly responsibility that kind of was overwhelming, or with authority figures, father figures, male figures in your life, or with your goals. Or sometimes some of you had it in 2019, some of you had it 2020. Depends if you're early born Libras, they had it earlier, or later born Libras. So any obstacles or tests in regards to your career and goals that happen if you're Libra Sun in particular, they're coming to an end. You've passed the test. I don't know how you cope with it. There were the heavy responsibilities, the maturation required, some crisis of identity even that might have happened. It's coming to an end. And what is happening is that Saturn and Jupiter together at the same time are moving at your fifth house and even joining at the very beginning, at the middle of December 2020, but they would have the whole year influence on your fifth house because they'll stay together in this fifth house. And by the way, the moment they join, it's very rare occurrence. Jupiter and Saturn join together in different signs once every 20 years, and it gives the direction for the next 20 years in a person's life, because Jupiter and Saturn conjunctions, they determine the social economic environment and climate in the world, and basically what role you play in this society for the next 20 years. And if you're a strong Libra person, especially Libra rising, Libra sun, to a lesser degree Libra moon, but still likely, the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in your fifth house from the end of 2020 will impact you for 20 years, and says that you'll have the role that you'll find in society will have some fifth house influence to it. So a lot of Libras might become like authority figures on creativity, on art, can become some very influential figures in the next 20 years. Starting already from 2021, that have some important social role to play in fifth house matters. Fifth house matters is, for example, anything creative that you create on your own original ideas. They'll be like, it's almost like Libras will come out as the most intelligent people for the next 20 years because fifth house is natural intelligence, natural brilliance and talents. And fifth house also rules to have your own business. Why is that? Because fifth house is to co-create together with God. That's why it's so empowering. This fifth house that I told you, the houses that are activated for Libra are very empowering. And this fifth house is to co-create, to invent something, to have a brilliant idea, and to grow it like a baby. Fifth house rules your most loved things. A child, you grow it. Fifth house rules children, to grow your own children. It's, you put all your creativity, all your intelligence there. It's part of you. So you created it, co-created the child with God. Well, having your own business is the same, or having your own creative idea of some sort, or genius, original idea. Fifth house is original ideas. And to grow it, to put everything, to build it block by block. This is exactly what Saturn and Jupiter will give us an opportunity. I believe that many people with strong Libras will enter already from 2021, or maybe they'll just plant the seeds from 2021 that will blossom over the next 10 to 20 years. I would say in the first 10 years, for sure, in the next 10 years. But you'll do something in 2021 that many of you will take you on a path of independence. These are the independence houses. And independence through your own creative ideas, which means maybe being your own boss, having your own business, or just having some brilliant idea that is born from 2021. It might take you 10 years to complete it, to really make it manifest. It might take you, 2 years. It might take you just 2021 to manifest. I cannot really tell you. The whole cycle of Saturn Jupiter is 20 years. But something that you start now, some original creative idea that is your own, some kind of inspiration that comes to you, a download. These are all fifth house activities, original idea. It might be writing a book. It might be creating baby foods. It might be inventing some machine. It might be, it can be anything which is, as long as it's your own creative ideas. If it's your own, it's not plagiarized. It's something that comes from you as your own passion. So that's why it's usually people that have their own businesses, they have a strong fifth house activated. They're autonomous, they want to create their own kingdom. And fifth house is about creation, and they have this original idea. So I think a lot of Libras will go on that path. Or at least fifth house is, again, something we very much love and enjoy. That's our natural talent. And these are our hobbies. These are the things that we do with so much pleasure. For someone, a hobby might be supernatural and good. And these are not skills that you've acquired. It's just something that you pick up and you're naturally good at. Some can be good at singing. Some can, of course, we need to perfect them. Some can be good at working with children. Another person can be naturally talented at writing. Another person can be naturally talented at healing. It's for everyone is different thing. But whatever it is what is the thing that you did as a child that you really enjoyed, especially around the ages, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the ages that whatever you played at, you're naturally gifted and talented. It gives you natural joy because it comes some spontaneous to you. And when I was trying to figure out what I want to be, and I was trying to do this exercise, I remember that as a child I used to play being a teacher. I would just sit on the desk and explain on the board and explain and write marks and just teach. And this is what I'm doing to you now, talking to you and teaching. So, but this is the things you'll be working on in 2021. You'll discover who you truly are. What is it that gives you joy? What is it that gives you inspiration? What is it that sparks that childlike flow and imagination in you? And you might not fully discover it already just in 2021 because Saturn stays in your fifth house for 2.5 years. So it might start with a boom in 2021 because Jupiter is also there, and Jupiter will bring a lot of opportunities for you to explore talents that you naturally have, to find new exciting hobbies that make you feel alive, and Saturn to work hard on them, to manifest them as well. But then by 2022, Jupiter comes out of the fifth house and only Saturn comes there, stays there for another year and a half. So it might not be that you fully implement that and that, say, you have some original idea, or you have you discover some new interests and hobbies and talents. You're going on this journey for 2 years. It becomes very strong. It starts with a bang in 2021. You're trying to explore other ways to entertain yourself, to have fun, to discover new hobbies, to discover who you truly are. You're on a journey of self-discovery, guys. And what truly defines us is the things we really enjoy, the hobbies, the things that we're naturally talented at, and this is what you become aware of. From 2021 very strongly into 2022, where it might slow a little bit because Jupiter comes out of it, but you continue to work, on such topics. And it's new interests will appear, especially new passions, new hobbies. Another way it can play out is that some of you will take something that they're naturally good at, have natural talent at, that they naturally very much enjoy, like a hobby, and turn it into work, turn it into a career, turn it into a business. Saturn is to make something is responsibility, duty, work, and it's in the fifth house of natural talents. So many times I've seen that people, especially with Jupiter there, you have the inspiration, you have the idea that it gives you, and Saturn will give you the perseverance to go after that little by little, to fulfill, to materialize that idea of yours. So, good. It's time to find out who you are and time to step on your dharmic path. And I repeat, if you read the definition of dharma, it's not karma. Dharma is what inspires the soul. Dharma is what the soul is here for. The mission that you're here, that when you do it because you're most naturally gifted and talented at, you just flow. And fifth house is this natural house of flowing, going with the flow, like children when they play a game. They flow, they lose themselves, time disappears. And this is what Saturn and Jupiter wants you to master for the next 2 years, starting very strongly from 2021. And initially it might not flow the first 2 years, It might not flow because you're trying to discover it, you're trying to, to get into that. It might require consistent effort on your part. But the ultimate goal is that by the time Saturn moves out of this fifth house, then you reap the fruits usually. And Saturn will be out of it. But by 2023, Saturn will be out of it. And you'd have created new environment and circumstances in your life that allow you to enjoy yourself in healthier ways. Enjoy yourself in more mature ways, for example. Like me and my husband stopped drinking, and the next 2 years, they say it takes 2 years to really reprogram your mind. We're going to try and find new hobbies, new ways to enjoy ourselves. It might be boring at first you do it just so you can discover what you like, because we don't know. Every time we had free time, we just go for a bottle of wine, and now we have to, he and me, but it's his fifth house activated. He has to discover, what is it that I really like? What is it that I'm naturally good at? Who am I? And it's 2 years discovering, I know that, and hopefully we won't fall off the wagon, because it's so, it's like the first 2 years while Saturn is in the fifth house is not so easy to discover your new self. You might have like crisis of confidence as well. It tends to happen when Saturn is in the fifth house, because of trying to discover a more mature, stable self of yours, because it's a self house. It takes repeated efforts. And so a lot of you that are starting on this path of trying to, in 2021, to discover new gifts, new talents, or rediscover and awaken old ones, because Saturn is revisiting old ones, bringing them up to life again, and discover your true passion in life. That's why I love this fifth house. But with Saturn, it means if it was just Jupiter there in 2021, I was going to say without any effort, it will come to you. You don't even have to try. It will just hit you on the head. It will come to you. Suddenly you wake up feeling like doing this thing, But because Saturn is there, it doesn't come so easy. The opportunities will appear. Something will appear for you that inspires you, that makes you feel like alive again. Like, remember that feeling of how you felt like a child, how you're excited for little things? That's the fifth house energy. Well, it will come as an opportunity, but because Saturn is there, it will not immediately feel so, easy to do. It will not immediately feel so, you have to make the effort, let's say. And you have to, even if the first time feels a bit, you have to keep going and trying and doing it and trying that hobby, whether it's you want to knit or whether it's you want, whatever it's your natural talent, that naturally interest, and passion on this idea. You have to try it over and over. And if you're trying to start your own business, you have to try it over and over and over. But there is definitely also, it can even start with some kind of crisis in what you enjoy in life, because this is the fifth house, what we enjoy in crisis. And you can feel like, I feel empty and disconnected. Saturn can give disillusionment with how you've been enjoying yourself, maybe even restricted in some way. My sister-in-law just had Saturn through her fifth house and Jupiter, and having fun was a bit restricted because of duties and responsibilities and because of COVID, of course. So you can feel a little bit of a pinching and restriction for a couple of years of being able to have a lot of fun and joy, but because it's a process of having, if you don't naturally try looking for such things, how to change them, first comes like a crisis, a bit of an identity crisis, because that's how a new identity emerges, a more mature and more real one. So the identity crisis that happens when Saturn transits the fifth house is connected to, I'm not sure what I really enjoy. I'm not sure what really makes me excited anymore in life. I'm not sure, or there is like a blockage, or you're restricted from a certain sense of enjoyments that you normally have, maybe because of outer circumstances, or maybe because you impose it on yourself, because you start realizing that the natural way the normal way you've been enjoying yourself is maybe harmful, unhealthy, and you start beating yourself about it. So you decide over the next 2 years that you have to change that, and you have to find more mature or more pragmatic and more constructive way, not just time wasting with your natural gifts, or just time wasting with hobbies that don't lead to anything, so that's what you have to address and reframe and reimagine in your head for the next 2 years, and work hard on it. But there will be opportunities for it, don't worry, many of those. And some of you who are in the creative businesses, either you're a performer, an actor, entertainer, or if you're anyone who produces content, like that's your own original content, or if you have your own business already, you'll be working very hard on some new ideas there, on some restructuring of new creative ideas, on some creative project that might take a couple of years to complete. Some of you that that they'll be very busy. People that are in the entertainment or creative industries, or their own businesses that they're using their own original ideas, they'll be very busy with changing things there, with expanding, but gradually and slowly, because Saturn asks you to you can't just suddenly, Jupiter will bring opportunity for expansion and growth, for new ideas to implement, but Saturn says you have to do it in the lawful way, by following the rules, step by step, don't rush too much, and so on. And actually you can create some brilliant, unique idea. It's in Aquarius, your 5th house, the genius. Something very innovative that changes society for the next 10, 15 years, 20 years. You're the bringer of new ideas, Libra, in the age of Aquarius that is starting from 2021. It's the first chapter of it. It's 20 years after the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. And you're the genius. You're the one with the brilliant ideas. You'll be the performer. Many of you will be in some center stage positions. The 5th house rules politicians that are in the center stage positions, actors. So some of you in the next 20 years might decide to go into the political arena in roles that others admire, in roles that are central stage, in roles that are like inspirational figures. Until now, our celebrities were quite vacuous and vapid, admired for usually, well, not all of them, of course, but nowadays, in the age of the new conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter that's happening in Aquarius, it will change who are our role models and celebrities that inspire us. And this is 5th house activity as well. And a lot of people with strong Libras might find themselves in such positions. Maybe not immediately in 2021, but as I said, it's a cycle that lasts 20 years, but they'll plant the seeds for this from 2021. And 5th house rules, fashion, creativity, glamour, the elite, and you can find yourself in positions of the elite, maybe starting gradually to make your way there from 2021 through something that happens as an idea, as an opportunity, as an inspiration for you. The literati, the intelligentsia, I don't know how it's spelled in English, the intelligentsia, the literati, the educated, the glamorous people, the very refined people that create a hub of, intellectuals, artists, usually in every city or big community there are such people. Well, you can find yourself in the center of such situations, or part of a such circle, elite circle, so to speak. But the future celebrities, so to speak, or people, politicians, people with central roles of admiration, they will not be like the previous ones like we've had till now. They were based on, in the age of Pisces. Sorry, in the previous cycle, Saturn Jupiter, it happened to be in earth signs, but they will be both based on Aquarius, on air signs, such people. So on their intelligence, on their ingenuity, And you have a lot of that as Libra, because Aquarius is naturally very ingenious sign, very progressive, very it's kind of trendy, so to speak, and very intelligent. It's the most intelligent signs in the house of it's full of ideas, like progressive new ideas, in the house of natural talents. So you'd be admired, or you'd be put in positions of central positions because of your progressive ideas, natural intelligence, because of your open-mindedness and brilliant mind. All right. So very interesting. But there are other things that the fifth house can do as well. When Saturn and Jupiter come together, which will be the whole 2021 almost, this is, we say, when the fifth house is manifested. Because Jupiter brings the opportunity, Saturn materializes it. Jupiter is new ideas, new opportunities, new life, inspiration and fertility, and Saturn crystallizes it into matter. Well, fifth house rules children. Some of you might become parents. Some of you might welcome a child in their life, and with it will come responsibilities, though, because Saturn is there, is not going to be the easiest thing. And if you already have children and you don't plan on having any, it can still happen. But it can mean that you're going to have a very important development phase of your children's life. You're going to be going through. You might be dedicating a lot more time, which is Saturn, effort and energy, of educating your children, Jupiter, of expanding their knowledge, of helping them through a new phase. The fifth house is especially the firstborn child, but children overall. And when Saturn and Jupiter enter there, your child might be starting a new phase, new chapter in their life, that takes about 2 years almost, and they would require a lot more energy from you, a lot more dedication and involvement as well in some way. But definitely you'll be, some of you might just decide to change their attitude towards their children, to go on, to learn to connect with their children in different ways. And Saturn and Jupiter will trigger this. For others, it can mean like a brand new chapter. If you're grown-up children you have, they might be on the verge of something, some new beginning, something incredible that they do. Or even that for some of you can mean that your child will have very socially important role for the next 20 years. Many of you focus on teaching. Fifth house is teaching for some reason, I don't know. Maybe your children, educating. Some of you might undertake some project connected with teaching children or educating others. Fifth house is to bring intelligence to others, to teach others to think independently for themselves, not to teach them skills and stuff like that only. Fifth house is the true teacher. Third house, we know as, learning skills, to read, to write, to calculate, to remember dates and numbers, to work, to make a presentation on the laptop. Fifth house is what the role of the true teacher. In ancient astrology, the fifth house was teachers of children or grown-ups as well, because they should be like your own children, first of all, and second of all, the role of a teacher is to teach others to think independently for themselves. This is the fifth house, not to memorize. Of course, teaching teaches also skills, but and a lot of you will enter into a role. Some of you will enter into a role that you're trying to teach others how to think independently. And you'll be learning that for yourself as well. Your own original ideas and thinking, not taking opinions from others. In Libra, it's usually more easier to get influenced by others' opinions, but this time you're learning to have your own truth, your own standing, your own intelligence, your own thinking. Fifth house can also indicate, like some can take heavy responsibilities with students, grown up or small or young, with teaching, heavy responsibilities and opportunity to grow through that and to expand because both Saturn and Jupiter in there. With some creative project, maybe doing a website, maybe expanding gradually, slowly your business. Others will do will undertake some educational thing for their children, or others will undertake some work connected to children, around the world. So, and I think if anyone has an important role in changing the circumstances of children in the next 20 years, that will be Libras, because of the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. If you have any plans or ideas connected to children, to education, I think you'll be at the forefront of those trends for the next socio-economic wave of 20 years of Saturn, Jupiter in Aquarius. Then it can also indicate children can become a bit more difficult. It's Saturn, more demanding, requiring more time because of responsibilities with children, or because of it might block your abilities to enjoy yourself too much, romantically as well. But Jupiter is also there, so it will bring opportunities. You just have to work on them. You can't wait for them to appear out of the blue. You have to, when you get an inspiration to enjoy yourself, to have fun, or to enjoy, you take it, because you have a lot of responsibilities connected to everything that I talked about, with children, with working on finding your own truth path, with finding your dharma, with turning your creative talents into something practical. So you have to find ways, to also enjoy yourself, because Saturn can a little bit drain the joy out of life when it's transiting the 5th house. But it's draining it because of productive goals and causes. Because of, like I gave you an example, it might be turning a hobby into business, or working on your business to develop it creatively and so on. Or because of responsibilities with children. And another thing that can happen is romantic life. Oh my God, I forgot the most important thing that people are most interested in. Romantically, the 5th house is being in love. It's when you're in love, again, time flows. Well, Saturn, in extreme cases, can slow down the romantic love because of responsibilities, or because of some blockages. Maybe it might not be as, and it has a reason for it. It can slow it down so you can look at your dating patterns. So you can slow down and see what you've been doing wrong. Maybe you've been dating the wrong people that take too much from you, don't give you back. Maybe you're not respecting your own self-esteem, self-worth. And for example, my sister-in-law again, who had Saturn through her 5th house transiting for the last 2 years, and Jupiter in the last 1 year, she really, first there was a crisis situation, so possibly sometimes there can be a romantic crisis situation, especially if romantically you have not had any boundaries, or if you've just been randomly sometimes sleeping around, or just not taking care of your romantic life. So it can first create some crisis, with a romantic partner, someone that you're attracted to. Or even your marriage partner is your romantic partner, some kind of a crisis there, so you can slow down and re-examine how to approach your romantic life. So what my sister-in-law did is that she nearly stopped. She first had like a romantic date with someone older. Saturn always can bring someone older to you. So romantic relationships with older people, even someone foreign, Jupiter involved there, can happen. Actually, strong activation for romantic relationship if you're single, but they might develop slower than normal, and there might be some testing involved, initially at least, because especially if you're in the wrong type of romantic relationship, especially if it's a romantic relationship that repeats a pattern of previous ones, and you know what your pattern is. For some, it is that you're too self-involved and you're not paying enough attention to the other. For others, might be that they're paying too much attention and letting the others take advantage of them, or whatever the issues are, they're going to become very potent and strong, whatever your romantic situation is, with your love partner, with your marriage partner, or generally in intimate relationships. And you might not be looking at romantic relationship as just frivolous experience anymore. You'd want something more stable, something more consistent. You'd want something more reliable. And if you're not receiving it from others, there can be some crisis in a romantic relationship where you say, okay, I just really want something that works long term, which is Saturn. And what it means is that the people who are not there for you for the long run, romantically, they will dissipate when Saturn is transiting the fifth house. They'll be cut off. They might hurt you, disappoint you, or you might say, enough of this bullshit, I want something more serious. And usually more serious things appear. Sometimes it might be with a relationship with a person with age difference that we talked about Saturn, but a relationship will appear if you're single, because especially if you're Libra rising or Libra moon. The sun sign, it's not so much connected to relationships, the fifth house, the romantically. It's more like connected to creative ideas for career and stuff like that. But romantically, yes, the ascendant in Libra, sun in Libra, if you're single in particular, someone will appear. As I said, it has the Saturnian qualities. Maybe it will be someone that is quite busy as well. So you cannot fully have like there's some conditions there that come with it. And you're also looking that you connect romantically, not with someone just for sex, but you'll be looking for deeper connection, something Aquarius in nature, which usually is to have a common goal together. Aquarius rules common goals. It's a common ideology, something to work towards together. So this is the kind of romantic relationships you'll be attracted to, and you'd attract, and it might be someone that, in extreme cases, if Saturn is making hard aspects there from your fifth house, depending on your personal horoscope, can be someone that really undermines your self-confidence, like a crisis of confidence. So you can learn to not to build your self-confidence on sand castles, and that you learn to allow more deserving people. Saturn is more about quality and not quantity. Saturn wants to reduce. Like my sister-in-law, before Saturn entered the fifth house, she used to go on dates, Tinder dates, like every weekend a different person. When Saturn came around, she's like, enough, I'm done with that, I want something serious. So she's dated and she went with someone serious, but what happened is that then he was 7 years older than her or more, but he kind of didn't treat her well, so she cut him off and stayed single actually for almost 2 years while Saturn was in her fifth house. And she said, I need to readdress and re-examine who I let romantic in my life so they don't take advantage of me anymore, and I want something serious. So she stopped this one night dating stuff as well. Kind of can dry out a little bit the love life if it's only Saturn though, but you're starting from 2021 with Jupiter there as well. So yes, you'll become more restrained in your romantic approaches, more conservative in a sense, or not conservative so much as like, oh, I want this, but more like, I need us to have a mutual goal. I need us to look towards the future. This is Aquarius nature. That's where the conjunction is happening for you in Aquarius from Libra in the fifth house. Mutual goals together, whatever. But the opportunities will appear because Jupiter is there. So if you're single, I have very important news for you that it might be the time you won't be anymore. Especially with Libra rising and Libra moon. If you're Libra sun, this works more on you can still have a relationship. I don't think it's so strong for indications for that, because the sun is more your goals and career, but still, possibility, 25%. Another way Saturn and Jupiter in the fifth house can play out is that removes old ways of having fun to replace them with new ones. Okay, well, I think we talked about that, didn't we? If you're in the entertainment business and planning such entertainment events and stuff, this can be extremely productive, very, very good year as well. 2 years ahead, actually, with Saturn and Jupiter both in the fifth house, but we talked about that already. What else is it? Let me think about romantically a bit more. Yes, if you're already married, and you'll be like, well, does me now have a new romantic relationship? Because I don't think so, because Saturn in the fifth house it's not for cheating type of thing. It's more like Saturn wants to do romanticism lawfully. And Jupiter and Saturn, they're in your 5th house. If you're already in a committed relationship, you want to readdress how you have fun together, how you enjoy yourself. Maybe you want to rediscover the sex in part a bit as well. But it's not like about some crazy experimenting, and it's not about dating other people if you're married, because Saturn does it lawfully. Saturn wants to have fun lawfully, not hiddenly, when it's in the 5th house. So you try hard to implement techniques and ways. Maybe it's like almost like you have to plan your fun. This is what Saturn does. You have to plan your fun to enjoy with your partner romantically, or if you're single, even you have to plan your romantic dates, and you have to plan. It doesn't happen so spontaneously, but you would have the desire for that, Jupiter, to plan and do that, to plan your romantic dates, and you have to make efforts to find new ways of enjoying yourself. That's, and you have to plan your enjoyments in advance. It's very structured. And if you're into creative field, you might feel that, yes, new ideas are coming, but you have to plan to be very organized every day, to give yourself, say, from 10 to 1 o'clock I'm writing, or I'm working on this creative project. You have to be very organized about achieving creative goals. It's not gonna come spontaneously. You just sit and write a book in one sitting. That was if Jupiter transits there. Just a lot. It transits there, but if only Jupiter transits there. Here you have the inspirations for the creative ideas, the inspiration for new, to learn to enjoy yourself with your partner, to learn to renew the romantic relationship, but you have to plan it and make the efforts as well for all those things with Saturn. It's try it over and over until it implements itself and becomes part of your daily reality, or to not automatically. So just a few examples. Those who are born from who have their sun, moon, or ascendant from around 5 till 14 degrees in Libra. Sun, moon, or ascendant from 5 till 14 degrees in Libra. Basically, their sun means that they were born from September 28th to October the 8th. They're going to feel more strongly Saturn in 2021. Because Saturn will make trine to their sun, moon, or ascendant 3 times. Once forward, once backwards, once forward again. So everything that I talked about Saturn really is important for them. And whatever they start growing this year, whatever they start creatively creating, growing, it will have a long-lasting effect in their life. It will have long results. It will be, say, if you're doing a creative project or your own business, or you start a new job even with your sun in Libra, it will have you or start a new diet if your ascendant is in Libra. It's the physical body, it's how you take care of it, or start a new emotional relationship of some sort with the ascendant in those, or sun, moon, or degrees in those, from those days or those degrees. They will last long. They might take longer to develop. They might bring in more responsibility into your life. They can restrict a little bit the fun, but because it's a trine, in a way, it's in a way that you're ready to welcome. It's in a way that you're ready to grow up through this relationship, through this responsibility, through this creative project. So any responsibilities you take and more serious things that you're doing, or in a relationship, or creatively, or romantically, or even in your career, it's gonna give good results, and you want those responsibility, and you're ready for them. So very stabilizing influence for those degrees. Saturn transit 5 to 14 degrees in Libra, very, very stabilizing for their health, sometimes for their self-discipline, and in a way that is not oppressive, in a way that is not like overwhelming, that makes you like, oh, I'm giving up so much so I can achieve that, or so that I can be in this. It's not in a sacrifice way, and like, okay, it's time to buckle up. It's time to be more serious, and it's time to make something constructive. So Saturn will definitely help you grow something constructive and long-term. But it will bring responsibilities with it. And matters of children and all those 5th house matters, they will be stable, a bit slower going, stable, but they'll manifest materially. But it might take, the whole year before you see the results. Then another batch of Libras, those born from 22 degrees till 30 degrees in Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or if it's their Sun, they're born from October the 15th to October 23rd. They're feeling way stronger the Jupiter influence. So for them, it will be way easier. For them, for example, creatively things will flow. It will happen much faster. For them, romantically as well, things will happen much easier. For them romantically, and then they'll have Saturn next year, 2022. But first they're having Jupiter, new opportunities. They might connect romantically with very different, intelligent, educated people, which are Jupiter in nature. They can receive some fame, or they can receive some role of center stage. They can improve their performance. They can have opportunities to grow their career, especially if their Sun is in those degrees, from 15th to 23rd of October. They can have growth of their business without delays, expansion. They can have opportunities for promotions. They can have opportunities for travel as well. Jupiter naturally rules those things. To fulfill their dreams, goals, be lucky, fortunate. They can have even some kind of luck that comes back to them karmically from good things. Like they're just aligned, and they're full of ideas, and the ideas come together easily. Doors open easily. They can gain access to even some celebrity status for a little bit. They can expand their creative projects, or if you have a gallery or performance of any sort, it will just go swimmingly well. If you're Libra from those degrees, 22 to 30 degrees, and even in romantic relationship, things will flow, especially for Libra ascendants, Libra moons, at those degrees, at those days. But some of them will have Pluto as well. But we'll speak about from October 17th to October 21st. So it's not going to be just all roses. So Pluto and Jupiter, that would be interesting. Actually, that's a combination of making a lot of wealth when Jupiter and Pluto aspect similar degrees. But there'll be a bit of a challenge because of Pluto. I'll speak about Pluto a bit later, but just remember that the Jupiter October 15th to October 23rd, they will have Jupiter trine their sign 3 times, and actually they need it, because those exactly people born from 22 to 30 degrees in Libra were most tested in 2022, because that's where Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter were squaring those degrees. And they really need a bit of a respite. They really need a bit of a, upliftment, and Jupiter is going to bring that for them in 2021. The opportunities, like the rewards for the growth, the seeing the results of the efforts they've put, the opportunities that come romantically, as I said. Look at it also from 5th house, everything we talk, like creative ideas and so on. And then they'll have to consolidate it in 2021, because Saturn will trine those degrees, so it will make it a bit more hard work, but more long-term results, and more solid, more effort. There'll be more responsibilities there, but it will again solidify those new opportunities that came to you in 2021. Those new ideas, brilliant new ideas, come when Jupiter trines from the 5th house, the Sun, Moon, or the Ascendant. And it's a new stardom, but you might take again another year to fully, implant them. And someone can appear in your life that expands your consciousness. If you're born 22 to 30 degrees, opportunities to travel, to study. This is Jupiter in nature, lucky romantic experiences. My husband is nowhere. He's in 18 degrees Libra ascendant. So you'll still get, if you're in those degrees, Jupiter trine. But it's going to happen just once. If you're in the earlier degrees, before 22 degrees, it's just not going to happen 3 times. So you're just going to have one chance for that for about 10 days in 2021. For about 10-15 days, this expansion that I talked about, this opportunity that I talked about, will maybe happen just once. And if you grab it, you can run with it for a longer time. Then let's go to Rahu and Ketu. You see, Rahu and Ketu, they changed their sign in 2020 in May or June. and they're going to stay in the same houses till the end of 2021. So this influence has already started. Rahu, wherever it goes, it expands this area of your life. It makes you yearn for it, crave it, and go for it, and manifest it more, and gives you sudden results there, sudden achievements, because of the hunger you feel, the desire. It triggers the astral desire body, and when you have very strong feelings and desires about something, you go after it and you can manifest it. Well, it's the whole 2021 is going to be in your ninth house, which is another Dharma house. Who am I? Where am I going? What's my purpose? You're going to discover that through going after spiritual topics. Ninth house is higher knowledge, studying. There will be opportunities for you to study to universities, to some of you, to take some degrees, to take crash courses, to take courses in astrology, in anything in higher knowledge, to understand the purpose, the goal, the meaning. In coaching, you might find some coach that, or mentor, ninth house rules teachers and guardians and mentors that really expands your mind suddenly and blows your mind, especially how you can achieve your material ambitions, because Rahu is material in nature, and but through spiritual means, how to expand your mind. There are lots of such gurus, like our Natalia, for example. She teaches you marathons for wealth, for growth, for how to be your better self. Ninth house is becoming a better person, becoming more of who you can be, expanding your version. Again, it's a self house. Who am I? What's my purpose? What's my goal and destiny? The ninth house is connected to the Sagittarius energy. It's a shooter. It's that shoots an arrow towards the sky, towards a goal far away. It just doesn't shoot you towards the sky. There is a goal far away. So the ninth house is the reason we wake up in the morning, because we have a meaning in life. And if you don't have a meaning and purpose, you're finding it. You're going so passionately after finding it. That's why when Rahu transits the ninth house, people want to explore new belief systems, especially foreign ones that are very different than the religions and belief systems and the family mentality that they grew up in, or the local mentality they grew up in. So you can go, say, if you're Christian, you can start doing like law of attraction or astrology. Or if you came up from a very different culture, you can go by exploring different cultures, foreign people. And despite the ban to travel, I think Libras will be able to travel to foreign countries, to faraway places, to connect with foreigners in 2021. Rahu gives access, unlimited sudden access to such places, to expand your opportunities and horizons by connecting. Even if you're not actually traveling physically, you connect with foreigners or people that are very different than your local environment, your casual, normal friends around you that you meet at work, your teammates, your schoolmates, or your friends that you hang out with. They will be different, they will be foreign, they will be exotic, they will introduce new ideas to you. But because you're trying to find a meaning, a purpose, something to wake up for, a goal, excitement, and you're gonna go and look for it outside of your daily environment, outside of the normal places you look for. That's why this is when people get teachers. This is when people start exploring, coaching, expansion of the mind, of the vision, new belief systems, law of attraction, and all those things. You can get interested in those. Astrology, the higher knowledge, as they call it. You become very passionate about it. People start going to foreign countries. Say, if you're Buddhist, you can come to Europe, and or if you're in Asia, you can come to the States, or if you're in the States, you can go to Asia, and such kind of exchanges, because you only expand your mind by, racism is cured by traveling, or any kind of narrow-mindedness is the opposite of the ninth house. So you're going out of your narrow, limiting beliefs. You break through them, that you are conditioned through in your family, through yourself, through your daily environment, through the media. You break through them, and you go and explore truths that are way out there. They might be a little bit controversial, quite progressive, quite innovative. This is the nature of Rahu. But you have to dare to dream big now. You have to dare to experiment and try adventures, foreign countries, foreign people that you've never seen before, foreign belief systems, teachers, new pre-qualification, desire to pre-qualify because you want to change your direction in life, because you discover new passion in life again. You see, it's about what sparks your passion. This ninth house, like the fifth house, they're very similar. You might become very passionate about grandchildren. You can acquire your first grandchildren on Rahu transit the ninth house, or a grandchild that is very unique, Rahuvian-like, very charismatic, because the ninth house is the fifth from the fifth, so the children of your children. So there is a lot of involvement again with children. Ninth house is teaching. You might become passionate about teaching. Maybe you gathered a lot of information till now, and now Rahu comes and you have to go and spread it. Almost you become like a preacher, like a proselytizer. You want to find your own truth, and you want to speak it and shout it from the bottom of the trees. And you're going to do it, and actually you can gain some popularity because of controversial beliefs and truths that you're talking about, controversial ideologies. You can find yourself philosophizing a lot in high ideals and almost like changing your perspective on what reality is, and kind of a bit in your head, to be honest, in the higher mind. But wherever Rahu is, Ketu is always in the opposite place, and that's where we kind of disconnect from reality a little bit, because we get so into the Rahu thing that we kind of space out in the house that Ketu is. And Ketu is in the third house, your daily life, daily communication. So you might almost like zone out. You might, like, your partner might be telling something, or your workmate, and you're like, because you're thinking in your head about future things. Rahu is in the ninth house, philosophy things, big goals, big plans. This is what Rahu wants from you. Big dream, big, not on a local level, international. Go international when Rahu is in the ninth house, not local. Break the boundaries of your dreams. Break the boundaries of what you think is possible, of your beliefs. Retrain your thinking to believe that, say, they're like very Rahu in the ninth house. I'll give you an example. There is like special exercise for, that is given for attracting big things. So what is it that you want as a dream in 2-3 years? What is the next big thing you want? So you say, I want to make $100,000 per month, and currently say you had 50,000. Oh my God, per year. And currently at 50,000, you say 100,000. So you start imagining, first what having 100,000 it is. But this technique, especially, is very Rahu-like technique, says, now imagine you have the 100,000 per year. What is it you want? Even though you're still at 50,000. Imagine you're at 100,000. What is the next goal? And the next goal is like, 200,000, per month, whatever. The next more reasonable step, so to speak. So you kind of up the game by imagining you actually have achieved the goal that you want, and you start dreaming for the next one after. So it allows you to expand your ability to see possibility that is, maybe now at 50,000 and you never think you can jump at 200,000. Or maybe now you're, let's not just talk money. Maybe now you have 10,000 followers and you want to dream big. This is the ninth house's goals, dream, kind of like what you think is possible as a belief system. And you kind of, with such exercises, you say, I want to have 100,000. Well, what is after 100,000? 1 million. So instead of 100,000, you're imagining the 1 million one. So these are the things that you might be drawn to expand your mind. Maybe overly optimistic sometimes with Rahu in the ninth house. But I don't know, it's a lucky house, and Rahu tends to give things. So you will reprogram your mind to dream bigger, to think more is possible, to grasp for more as well. You might be drawn by charismatic teachers that teach you that, coaches and stuff, but you kind of disconnect from everyday reality with Ketu in the third house. You can kind of zone out, and people can be like, almost like third house also rules hearing and communications, and you might have to say that again, I didn't hear you. Almost like you switch off and you don't hear others and you don't notice them because you're in your head up there. And I've noticed my husband's doing this already. Like, I talk and he and he does not hear. He's just in his head with his goals and kind of with his chatting with his foreign friends all the time. This Rahu in the ninth house, traversing new kind of in his mind, like goals and stuff. But also it can disconnect you from people in your everyday environment when Ketu is in the third house. Like you can have distant relationships with siblings, younger siblings in particular, the third house with teammates, workmates. It can disperse the friendships as well, the third house. It can disperse because you become disinterested, you don't keep in touch. And sometimes the South Node is erratic as well. So if you work in a small group environment, say in an office environment, or you have to, associates, for example, you have to do something with associates, work on some project together over internet or whatever, small group environments, small group work environments, well, there is something that you feel disconnected there or disinterested, or kind of such, if you're part of such team, it might dissipate and it might, it might disappear, such a team or such team effort of some sort. You're not much of a team player, let's say. This, not because you want to rebel and get angry with them. No, South Node is more like, I'm not interested in this team effort, so to speak. I want to discover my own truth. I want to discover who I truly am. I don't want to follow what others think about it. That's why you temporarily become a bit deaf to what others tell you, Ketu in the third house, because you have to develop these self houses, the ninth, the fifth that we talked about. What is your truth? And the third house is media, mainstream media and magazines and internet. You become a bit disinterested. You stop believing. Ketu is dissatisfied. Ketu is like sees through the lies, and Ketu is like apathetic. I can't tell you how many Libra rising people I saw, even moon or sun people in the last, since Ketu entered their third house, and it stays the whole 2021, that closed their Facebook account or stop watching mainstream media because they're like, I'm like disappointed, disinterested in that. I'm gonna find my own truth. Rahu in the ninth house. I'm not gonna listen what others tell to me. It's like temporarily becoming a bit deaf type of thing. And it's almost very hard to see another person's perspective when Ketu is there. Not that you're dumb and you can't see another person's perspective. This is what you're naturally good at as a Libra. But because you kind of become disinterested. You kind of like, I'll close what others tell me, what the media tells me, what they tell me on social media, what my friends tell me. I'm going to find my truth. Rahu in the ninth house. And you go find charismatic leaders and teachers and stuff again. You can also get disconnected a little bit from, third houses. It can give trips and travels. Rahu and Ketu in the ninth house actually stimulate that rather than make it not happen. Third house is disconnection maybe from relatives a little bit, letting go of certain social relationships as well. Third house is communications. You might kind of you might switch off a little bit from such communications and things, so you can be in your own creative process, so you can be not influenced. I don't know, I can't think about the stuff. You might feel a little bit spaced out mentally. Ketu transiting the third house is known for that, for disconnection, spacing out mentally, especially in your daily environment, because you are craving this ninth house, breaking the pattern of daily routine, you're disinterested a little bit in daily routine. The third house is your daily routines, making plans and stuff like that. But the Rahu in the ninth house craves for the adventure, for newness, for new experiences, for people that are very different, foreigners, different social status and class, So these are the things they're not in your immediate environment. Okay. New fields for study and knowledge. And you can have quite controversial beliefs, like taboo breaking beliefs now that kind of surprise others a bit, you know, especially if you're someone who's been traditionally, sticking to the what's accepted in the society, what the beliefs, what the mainstream media believes, but you'll be finding out some true different new truths. Also, if you have teaching projects of any sort, there is, Rahu makes them expand and grow, or preaching, proselytizing, traveling, import, export, or investing in foreign countries can be profitable while Rahu transits the ninth house. All right. And it is lucky, Rahu in the ninth house. Again, I think some of you might even win something on the lottery with this fifth house, ninth house activation, but it's karmically deserved because you deserve it. I've seen activation of fifth and ninth houses. It's like winning something, a reward, luck, being lucky. And if you have an opportunity to travel, I'll take it, because it will bring something to it. It will expand your information. It will bring some new skills, some new opportunity to you. And that's especially long distance, foreign country. Go if you have an opportunity to go to lectures, take courses, classes, not to teach you about techniques and stuff, how to operate a machine or how to, not such things that are more mundane and practical in nature. Courses and classes that expand the knowledge, astrology, wisdom type of thing. All right, then let's continue. There is the next big thing is Mercury retrogrades. Where are Mercury retrograding in 2021? Guess where? Again, in the self houses, the houses of Dharma. Who am I? My own strength, my own power, my own inspiration, finding my path in life. The first, the fifth, and the ninth. The first Mercury, wherever Mercury retrogrades, we put a lot more mind thinking, a lot more consciousness there, a lot more presence. We stay much longer with Mercury rules thinking in those areas. Well, Mercury first goes retrograde from January the 30th till February the 20th in your fifth house in Aquarius here. Let me put Mercury here. And from the degrees from 11 to 26 degrees in Libra, we'll feel it, a trine to their first house very strongly. It is supportive, so you might have to, so born from October 4th to October 20th, but it's a good aspect. Retrograde Mercury trine your sun, moon, or ascendant. You might have some clarification conversations with a loved one, with a romantic partner. You might want to revise how you do romantic things, your romantic life, to revisit all romantic practices, so to bring up old romantic issues or relationship issues from the past. You might want to revisit some new old places of enjoyment and pleasure and fun. Oh, I'm so hoping we can go to Hawaii. My husband is activated by this. So you can revisit. Mercury is travel. Fifth house is holidays, fun, having enjoyable things, romantic places. So revisit some such old places. Or you might be working extra hard, using extra thought and intention and focus on some creative project, editing it, fixing it, improving it, trying to perfect it in some way. You might be reviving up some old romantic relationships. So you might hear from a romantic partner or dream about them more often, that you haven't had closure, and maybe it gives you good closure. Or you might bring up romantic issues from the past with your relationship. You might want to re-examine, how do you have fun? Maybe you're not having enough fun. Let me focus more. You're going to focus more and think and talk about that, how to connect romantically more, to have more excitement, to have more spark between the two of you. It might be triggered by a little crisis, and you're like, okay, we need to fix that. We need to recommit to making each other happy and enjoying ourselves. So you might be bringing up an old hobby or an old enjoyable thing that you like to do, fifth house, to revive it, to brush it up, to try it again, some old sport that you used to enjoy. You might be having to pay more attention to your children, communicate with them more, re-examine them a little bit more, re-examine your attitude towards them, maybe read some books and shift your perspective. Mercury retrograde is to shift your perspective on how you communicate with your children, bring up some things from the past and talk to to them about them, re-educate them. Maybe they're doing some project that requires more of their mental skills and you're trying to help them with education as well. Or maybe you're brushing up with your students on old materials, bringing up things to revise as well. Or maybe, I remember when I had Mercury retrograde in the 5th house, I had a myriad of like malfunctions, or not malfunctions, but people started complaining about my website and saying, can you make it easier? And I kind of had a bit of a crisis. And of course, 5th house is your own creation, so some criticism you can receive about your creation, so you can see it from a different perspective and see it's not perfect. So you want to make it perfect. So that's when I undertook like a 1 year during Mercury retrograde. I said, okay, I want to make this website better. So Mercury retrograde is like, make some creation of yours better, whether it's in your business or whatever, and you see where the mistakes are then, and you decide to change them, and maybe in 5 months, maybe in a year or whatever, you'll see better results. Usually you might see already the results by the time Mercury turns direct from the end of February. So clarifying conversations with the loved one. In extreme cases, it can mean ending of a romantic relationship because of unresolved issues, because communication didn't go well, because of bringing up things from the past. But because Mercury is making a trine, I think it's going to be mostly auspicious, unless you have difficult planets in Scorpio, Taurus, or Leo. So then Mercury makes opposes there, so that can be more stressful romantically. But I think for most of you, it will be like brushing up on how to revisit, how to have more fun, how to revisit some old speculative investments and correct them or improve them, or see results from investments you've made, some speculative investments as well. This is the 5th house. Or revisit old flames, or revive the flame in a relationship through having new fun activities, new Mercury, like some travel, or some revising some hobbies, deeper conversation. Then the other Mercury retrograde is from May 29th till June 22nd, so most of June, and it's happening in Gemini, in your 9th house, another self house. So May 29th till June 22nd, from 16 to 25 degrees, Libras will feel it the most, which means if your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant is from 16 to 25 degrees in Libra, or your Sun basically means you're born from the 9th till the 19th of October, 9th till 19th of October. Mercury retrograde in your 9th house. This can be revisiting an old place, foreign country that you've been to, or maybe having to fix something to do with legal matters, foreign travel, import, export of some sort, trading in foreign countries, fixing some managing, organizing something better there. Maybe having to revisit, it's like revisit an old country that you've been to, or if you've been planning some trip abroad for a while, maybe you finally can complete it then. Maybe you can revisit, you might have to correct or prepare some educational or teaching project, for example. This is the 9th house. If you have anything to do with teaching or education or foreign travel or tourism, this can be a very busy time for business, where you have to use 3 times more of your skills. Be prepared to fix the plans, to have to work a bit harder, but the final results can be 3 times better. Also, it might be revising for studies, for exams of some sort, which is the 9th house, or reconnecting with friends from foreign countries that you haven't seen from a bit, or from university that you haven't seen from a bit. Or it can also indicate reevaluating certain friendship based on ideological belief system. 9th house is ideological belief systems. Mercury is friends and social communications. Moving retrograde, you might re-examine it. Who do I want to connect with? Because of mutual, belief systems. It can also indicate travel, again, foreign countries, even though Mercury is retrograde. When it's retrograde, there are more surprises, but it doesn't mean you can't travel. It's usually a travel that's been pre-planned before. Also, I think kind of like diving into deep knowledge studies, into researching deeper, studying some higher knowledge deeper You can have some deep realizations, philosophical of sorts. You can revisit some old belief systems and religions or classes and courses you've taken before. Or you might be ninth houses teachers and father figures as well. There might be a bit of a crisis in a relationship there that has to be addressed, or with legal matters. For example, if it's someone in law or legal matters or legal documents of some sort that have to be worked on, fixed a little bit while Mercury is retrograde. And in extreme cases, there might be some confrontations because of your belief systems and outspoken. You have to retrieve them, re-examine them, maybe question a belief system of a sort that you have, and question an attitude, moral and mental attitude of some sort, so some moral dilemma that you have to resolve, read on more about during this Mercury retrograde. But because it makes a trine, it's usually more supportive. Whatever mercurial you're doing that June, most of it means that you have to put more conscious efforts, whether it's speaking, writing, communicating, business of any sort. You have to be more conscious and present and put more of your skills in. When Mercury turns retrograde by the end of June, you're going to see 3 times more better results of any mercurial activity. Then the last Mercury retrograde is from September 27th to October 18th, so most of October. It's from 10 to 26 degrees in Libra. Now this one you're going to feel very strong. It's in your own sign. And basically Libras born from the 3rd to the 20th of October with their sun sign will feel it very strong. This is when people from the past can come back to reconnect with you, when you can hear from old acquaintances, maybe old things can be brought up to be discussed about. And because Mercury is ruler of the 9th house, travel is possible again to foreign countries, revisiting old knowledge and wisdom, revisiting and working extra hard with your skills to some teaching projects, some educational projects, some export project, some higher knowledge project, getting in touch with foreigners as well you haven't been in touch with. But definitely Mercury transiting one's own sign, if it's the sun, it's often to do with career. You're very busy with some mercurial project, writing, speaking, communicating, editing, but you're kind of revising it, fixing, and you have to be ready for plan B and C. Plans don't go, if you have any plans and Mercury is retrograde and it's passing over your degrees, things don't go according to plan, but usually it's so you can see an alternative opportunity and do it differently. And actually the final result, which comes when Mercury turns direct from the end of October after the 18th, the final result is way more better. You fix some mistakes, you've improved, put more order, managed it, organized it better. It's usually a very busy time for businesses. If you're in business or writing or speaking or communications or media of any sort, you can be doing some very important project with such matters, publishing, communication of any sorts. But it has to be redone over a few times, or surprises, things change. You have to be very flexible around that time. And sometimes you're also re-examining existing relationships. For example, with associates, Mercury rules associates, or business, associates or teammates and workmates. If there is no communication, if you can find out something that happened in the past or some important information that can put some strain, and if it's not the right person, you might disconnect the contact with them, or friendship even. But usually it's about putting more efforts in some mercurial activity. And these are the mental, the left brain, the rational brain, writing, speaking, editing, or using a lot of your skills, hand skills or mind skills for something. Sometimes it's about learning a skill even more profoundly, so you make extra effort while Mercury is retrograde. And such all kind of mercurial activities really kind of are very intense. And they need revision and redoing a few times, and when Mercury moves direct, you start seeing the results. Okay, and then last but not least, Venus will be in Libra from August 17th to September the 11th. Whenever Venus passes through your sign, this is your own planet, August 17th to September the 11th, very auspicious time for Libras. Sun, Moon, or Rising, whether it's in your Sun, might be with career or some, Moon emotionally you feel better. With the Ascendant, you can even start looking more attractive, and with the Sun and Moon as well. You can gain something materially, you can make more money, you can just feel stronger, more agreeable, more likable. If you want to do something important, I would advise you something very enjoyable that you're really going to enjoy. Do it on August 17th till September 11th, or maybe launch something connected to beauty, to art. Maybe bring out a project that's connected to women. If you want to be noticed, if you want to be heard, fantastic time for it, to do it around that time, August 17th, September 11th. And again, as I said, from September 27th to October 18th, Mercury is in your sign. Actually, it will be in your sign much longer. Mercury goes there way before that, August, September. Sorry about that. Actually, the whole September and most of October, Mercury is in your sign. So again, very hectic, important time for Libra, where they can stand out with their communication, with their expression, with their intelligence, with their wit. I think that these will be busy months, August till 11th to 17th till September 11th. It's more pleasant, pleasurable, enjoyable. And then Mars goes in Libra as well from September 16th to October 30th. So I think from the middle of August to November, basically, Libra is very busy because a lot of planets, Venus, Mercury, Mars, are activating you. Especially with Mars entering from the middle of September 16th to October the 30th for a month and a half, a very initiative. You have to get a lot of new things done. You might take up sports, some of you might really be activated into taking action. If you didn't have energy till then, you'll have a lot more. You can be more triggered by people as well in this period. You can be more easy to anger, to snap back at people, but you're very much in a mental state of go, let's get things done, move forward, so. But again, remember that Mars is quite snappy, so especially if you have higher blood pressure and stuff, or you can feel more nervous tension when Mars is there. But at the same time, it means that externally very important events, and I think quite good as well, are happening from August the 17th till September 11th. And then the whole September and October, Mars and Mercury are in your sign. So Mars and Mercury in your sign, which means very busy with mental activities. There might be some confrontations, speaking with others and fighting, but because you're trying to get things done, it's in your sign, you're initiating those actions. Your mind is very fast, very alert, your actions are very fast. You can get a lot of things done with business, even push a little bit others as well, but business, work, and even, relationships of sorts. Re-examine relationships, because some of them stress you when Mercury is retrograde and Mars is like, I cut you off, I don't care. Especially more kind of acquaintances type of, or people you work with, or friends relationship rather than personal. Okay, well, sometimes it might be personal as well. With Mercury retrograde, you never know. Things are brought from the past that haven't been discussed. But one period might be a little bit weaker for you guys. That's when Venus is invisible, your planet. Venus is invisible from February the 2nd till April 21st. So February, March, and April, almost for 2.5 months. Venus disappears for a very long time. I'll give you a secret. Usually Venus disappears for 40-60 days. This time it disappears for 75 days, which usually indicates economic crisis. But not for you, for the whole world. But Venus disappears for 2.5 months only, almost. And that's when you can feel a little bit more lethargic, a little bit that you're preparing something behind the scenes. You're kind of in a stop mode, or whatever you're doing, it's not still visible for others. And your efforts and even physical stamina can be a little bit weaker when Venus is invisible. So take more care of your health, especially if your ascendant is in Libra, because it kind of tends to be a bit weaker when your planet is invisible. Maybe withdraw a little bit, have a little bit more spiritual activity, more self-introspection. And then Venus becomes visible, is born again on April 21st approximately, plus minus a week, depends where you live in the world. So the end of April in Taurus, in your 8th house. It starts a new cycle of 9 months. That determines it. Something new at the end of April, the start of May, will be born in your 8th house, because Venus is you. That's why it's so important. You instigate something new, and Venus birth is usually a very auspicious event. Something can come to you through investments, through stock markets, 8th house, through investments of other people's resources, through your partner's resources. Maybe your partner might gain more money, or make more money that month, or get a new source of income, or your business partner or personal partner, or your mutual finances as a family, for example, or investments that you made in the stock market can give some very good result financially. Then suddenly you can receive some support from another, from government, from taxes, tax rebate for some of you, tax return, some gain from other people's resources. It can also indicate the birth of some secretive relationship. Oh, okay, so there is a possibility here. Or some behind-the-scene romantic relationship, or rebirth and regeneration of, that's another sexual house, of sexual intimacy as well. With a partner, and it's conception. Oh, another theme of children here. Possibility for conception of children sometimes, pregnancy. 8th house is that, together with the 5th. The birth of Venus in the 8th house can indicate birth of possibility that sudden something appears, like hidden money. Hidden money is 8th house as well. That is not declared, for example. Or that someone gives you something. So you receive a check from another, or that something, for example, can happen that inheritance or insurance of some sort comes. It's something like that. Or your client's money, increase in that, or your partner's resources increase. All of those are possible of some sort. Or rejuvenation of the sexual intimacy. Okay, I'll also try playing lottery around that time, money from outside, from others, when Venus is being born in the 8th house. And last but not least, we have to see Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Uranus and Neptune are not making any aspects for you. There's like in signs that don't aspect Libra, but Pluto is aspecting, is making a square to Libras who have their Sun, Moon, or Ascendant from 24 to 27 degrees in Libra. 24 to 27 degrees in Libra, usually born around the 17, 18, 19, 20, 21st, minus plus a day of October. 17 to 21st approximately. Pluto is doing this from your 4th house, so there can be some disruptive influences coming from the home, some power struggles happening there, emotions from the past that you don't remember erupting to the surface, and you might feel you're going a bit bonkers emotionally because Pluto awakens the deep astral buried complexes and emotions that are sleeping from past lifetimes, early childhood traumas, and they're just awakened and brought to the surface and bubble up, and you might need a fantastic to work with a psychologist or an astrologer or someone who can dig deep with you into the past, kind of not for years. You can do it in a few months session. You can do it in family constellations. Fantastic when Pluto squares your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, because you resolved emotional patterns. Then you understand the deep meaning behind them. You kind of re-experience them, the trauma a little bit. That's why sometimes even physiological symptoms can appear, like stressed out adrenals, nervous tensions, panic attacks, even fears bubble to the surface. But remember, it's a cleansing process. Emotionally, for the muck and the dirt to come to the surface, Pluto has to burn it, bring it up. So you kind of re-experience the trauma and the deep emotions. You might just feel super emotional for no reason and such things, or think about the past, or try to dig deep into your family roots as well with this Pluto. understand the past, revisit the family situation, the parental, and try to transform your attitude to your parents. Maybe your parents sexually abused you, maybe your parents neglected you. Now all family constellations work on you, reframing that attitude. And that's what Pluto does: reframe on a deep level the attitude, forgive them, let them go, transform it, release all the anger that's blocked in the body, that's stuck in the body. So sometimes, often, a person is interested in near-death experiences, past life, life after death, psychology, astrology, very occult. I advise you during Pluto transits, do dive into the occult, into astrology, into deep psychology, even in conspiracy theories, because this is a healthy way to kind of do this energy of Pluto. Otherwise, what can happen is that the universe wants to put you into these deep topics, so it brings you to near-death experience or some death in your life. Sometimes when Pluto is around, there are deaths that can happen as well. My husband had Pluto square his ascendant 2 years ago from the 4th house, 3 years ago from the 4th house, and that's when suddenly big transformation happened in his family. 2 children within 1 year, starting a family, and there were some other things. There were some power struggles with others. So Pluto always can indicate power struggles with others, either from family, because Pluto is in the 4th house, but it can be from other people. Just generally, Pluto does that. Transformation of your career, if it's your sun there, from 24 till 27 degrees. Big change, you can get interested in careers that are connected to Pluto, transformation, healing, a big interest in power structures, how to have more power over others, how to take your power back from others who have taken it, parents or authority figures. And or if you're someone who is abusive of power, your power will be taken away when Pluto transit squares your sun, moon, or ascendant. It has to be rebalanced. The power has to be rebalanced with Pluto. And sometimes people experience their biggest fears while Pluto squares, and so they are no longer afraid of them. They go through them and they're like, wow, I survived, I made it. And they come out so much more emotionally stronger and powerful. And that takes about 1.5 years. So by 2022, if you're born in those degrees, you'll emerge a new person. And don't forget that Jupiter is also trining your sun, moon, or ascendant. So I don't think extreme things will happen. I think, though, that you'll go much deeper. You can transform your career. Jupiter will bring opportunities to grow it as well, but you'll be stripped bare by who you are, from the illusions from who you are. Your ego will be changed. If it's your moon in those degrees, your home families can change, your home situation and place of living as well. Your emotional connections can transform powerfully. You can deal with some emotional issues of how to deal with manipulation or control or obsession even. Pluto square sun, moon, or ascendant can sometimes give very deep sexual desires, or dealing with cheating, or dealing with betrayal of some sort in extreme cases, or dealing with jealousy. That's want to possess you, want to control you. So you have to overcome those issues. You have 1.5 years of that. You have to learn to get out of those obsessive things, those obsessive thought patterns, those obsessive feelings that can become almost compulsive obsessive. But you can use this compulsive obsessive energy for Pluto to do something of tremendous willpower that you never had before. Because whatever you focus on, you can become totally obsessed when Pluto squares sun, moon, or ascendant. And you can use it to some feat of willpower, for example. Something that, because it's also this, whatever you're doing involves deep transformation of the psyche, and you're never the same after that. You can create something unique, and that you were so scared before to tackle. Break up addictions, break up patterns of abusive relationships, break up total separation from who you were in the past. And things that you were dependent on, things that had you under their control, now you want to take your control back. And again, if you can do family constellations or some psychological work or deep investigation, or even conspiracy theories, and actually you become like an X-ray. You start seeing through the bullshit of others and the lies that you're saying yourself till now, and the lies that others have been telling you. Or if there is any bullshit there, your radar is so strong because Pluto cannot tolerate superficialness and like a mask, and you really have no tolerance for such people. But Jupiter also expands you and brings you forgiveness and ability to kill, to let go. So those Plutonian crises that we call them, that can happen, those deep emotional or transformations that involve, very intense topic and taboo topics like betrayal and cheating and life and sex and death and birth and rebirth and conspiracy theories and abuse that are brought up, or taking of power in all different ways, abuse, taking the power, that are brought up to the surface. Jupiter at the same time is healing you by allowing you to forgive and let go and cleanse much faster and opening new opportunities. It's happening at the same time. So, you're not just left there with those dark feelings and stifling you. So you're having a lot of support this year, even the ones that are having Pluto, that are having a little bit tougher than others. But I am so grateful. I just had Pluto square my sun this year. It's, yes, I lost a baby. Themes of death and rebirth are there, but I'm a new person. I feel light, like a burden of heavy dirt I've been carrying with me. It's been purged, and I feel lighter and transformed, and wow. So I wish the same for you, those last Libras. Thank you so much, Libras. This is a fantastic year for you. Year to spread your wings, year to find who you are, to find your dreams, kind of inspirations, your passions in life, and you'll be strongly supported in that.